So sometimes there are no problems, but we make them. It's remarkable how many times in my work I'll look at an oracle, someone contacts me with a series of problems or questions or things that aren't going right in their life. And the oracle will show that there really are no obstacles. And I want you to think about that. The oracle, so many times when people are upset or freaked out or worried, shows there are no obstacles in a person's life. Now, in Tibetan divination, it shows us very clearly when there aren't obstacles. It also shows us what energies are at work in someone's life, and if we know the core energy of the person that we're reading, we can tell why they might think it feels like an obstacle, because the energies that are at work in our lives are either supportive or destructive. And sometimes destruction feels like it's an obstacle, but in a lot of cases, all it's doing is purifying a situation so that something else can come into being. But what happens here in the Western world with our Aristotelian beliefs and our adherence to Newtonian physics, we believe that things should stay fixed. Things should stay the way they are. That there are some things that are really, really important that we have to cling to. But in the East, we have things like the I Ching, which is the book of changes, which reminds us that things are changing constantly, and that usually if you cling to something, it causes problems. Now, there are a lot of situations in reading for people, especially for those of you out there who've done tarot or had tarot readings, where you'll see a lot of psychological things come up. And you'll notice that there are a lot of people who set themselves up as tarot readers who focus on sort of the psychological things. And I will admit, quite a few times in readings for people, I've had to actually deal with the psychology of what was going on, rather than telling them, hey, this is coming, and this is coming, or this is what you're headed for, or there are no obstacles, or the obstacles are right here. And that's the thing. See, what happens is we have to spend a lot of time going over the psychology of things sometimes, because when there isn't an obstacle, quite often people will make an obstacle either because they're bored or because they think there should be an obstacle, insert that old adage, no pain, no gain, or they are clinging to something that really isn't what's right for them. And it's trying to be taken from their life so that they can have whatever it is they're really wishing for, but they cling really hard so that they don't lose it. I've been doing this for a very long time, and I will say that after all the years of doing this for people, I do know this, and I've said this in other videos. A lot of times when people have peace and things are going their way, they look for a problem to fill their time with. I once had a friend years and years ago who was going through a very difficult situation for things that she set in motion for herself that were kind of destroying her. She knew what would happen if she did it. She went ahead and did it anyway, and I said, why did you do this? And she shrugged her shoulders and she said, something to do. Now, back then I thought that was kind of strange, but since then I've seen it I don't know how many times. People will be in a situation where there really are no obstacles, but they'll set into motion problems or fights or things where they can actually fill their time. Well, why? Well, think about it. We're living in a world these days where things are just a button push away. People really do have a lot of time on their hand in spite their constant insistence that they don't. And things are kind of easy for us in the way that we can simply go to the grocery store or press a button or sit and be entertained. That's another thing too. People want to be entertained, and they spend a lot of time watching entertainment which shows them there has to be conflict. Well, what makes a good story doesn't necessarily make for an enjoyable life. So people will actually find themselves getting in relationships that aren't good for them, or relationships are trying to be removed from their life, and they'll cling or they'll encourage conflict because it gives them something to fill their time with, makes them feel real, makes them feel important, and makes them feel like something really significant is happening in their lives. And in a lot of cases, when people don't feel like they're growing, or don't feel like they're succeeding, or don't feel like they're making any progress, creating a problem gives them something to overcome so they can feel as if they've accomplished something. The other thing I notice in divination a lot in these cases is that when there are no obstacles and people are finding challenges, it's because what's going on up here is creating the challenge. So if you wish for something to come into being in your life, you wish for happiness, you wish for security, you wish for love, you suddenly find yourself losing a job, or losing a house, or losing people in your life. It may be that those were the things that were actually creating the obstacle, and you clinging to them is what's causing the problems. So the fact is, there is no obstacle. The obstacles are being removed. The problems in your life are being taken care of, but you're clinging to them. The result of that is, if we cling to those things long enough, obstacles really do emerge, sickness really does emerge. Sometimes what people don't understand is things that happen in families, and things that happen in relationships, and things that happen when we interact with other people actually create ripples in the space. And those ripples eventually come back to create problems for us. So that's the other side of things, that sometimes what we think isn't a problem actually causes a problem. And sometimes what we think is a problem is actually an obstacle being taken in their life. So for example, let's say something happened in someone's family line, and a parent caused a great rift in the family, and people continually go back to that parent or go back to that situation, and the family dysfunction and the family disharmony is causing all sorts of problems in their life, and they keep going back to it, not realizing that the fact that the parent broke the family line or caused all this pain in the family line is creating problems like for everyone in their life, and they don't even recognize that that's a problem. This is just a new way for you to think about things and look at things, and a real diviner can look into a situation and start to see the subtleties that they're not noticing, the things that really are causing problems that a person doesn't realize are causing problems, and vice versa, the things that really aren't obstacles but are creating obstacles. See, here in this day, this age, we are told to cling to all of those things that cause problems for us, and we are told to let go of all those things that really are valuable, that really actually release us, and our values are being switched. So the role of divination and the role of magic and the role of all of those things is that the diviner, the magician, the one who really can gaze into a situation can say, hey, no, clinging to this is causing the problem. You're really supposed to go with this. Or, hey, you know what? That thing, the fact that you threw garbage on the street insulted something and caused a bigger problem than you realized, and you're still dealing with it. So what's the point of this? The point of this is to start to get you to look at things in a whole new way. That sometimes maybe the obstacles that you think are obstacles really aren't, and vice versa. Sometimes the things that you think are really insignificant are really the core of the huge, big picture of the obstacle that really is coming into place. For example, sometimes I'll have people who want to do something with their life, and it looks as though everything is a dried up tree. They're not getting any results. They're not getting any success in that area because it's not aligned with who they are. And no matter how hard they try, it's not going to work. But they keep doing it. They keep clinging to it. They keep trying to make it happen. But if we look into it with divination, especially with Tibetan divination, it may say, hey, this is a dried up tree. It's not given any fruit. And no matter how you cling to it, it won't give fruit. But maybe in some situations, someone's working a job where they're making lots of money, but they're getting sick. And the divination says, well, it's the job that's actually making you sick. And they realize that if they did something else, maybe more in line with who they are, well, then suddenly the sickness might clean up. There are so many layers to this and so many ways that it can go, but most people don't consider these things. They think in that old Newtonian, Aristotelian way. Well, the universe is kind of set, it's kind of machine, it's set in motion, and that's the way it is. No, there are forces that you're interacting with, forces that you kind of have to look at to see what's really going on. But these days, everyone just wants to pull a card and get an instant result, and the card says, what? Maybe manifest, or maybe go out and buy yourself something pretty. Well, maybe that isn't the thing. Maybe the thing is recognizing that there really isn't an obstacle here, or maybe the fact is you've been buying too many pretty things and not investing your time and energy in what's really going on. I'm Lucky Links, as always, wishing you success and good fortune in all that you do. I hope this look at sort of what causes problems, what don't cause problems. Are there problems where there shouldn't be problems, or are you making problems where there really aren't problems? I hope this subject matter makes you think a little more subtly about the conditions in your life and ask yourself seriously, what is a problem? What isn't a problem? And hopefully maybe pushes you towards looking at how to divine or get some divination that really can help you illuminate a situation. If you'd like to get a reading with me, 779-302-8009 or conjurehope@gmail.com, or do some kill core work with me where I actually look at these situations in your life and say, hey, there is an obstacle here, there isn't an obstacle here, this is the energy at work in your life, but we could shift it. If you do this, and if I do this, we can make this happen. If you'd like to get some kill core work, contact me, 779-302-8009 or conjurehope@gmail.com as well. If you'd like to take a class with me on how to read the tarot, how to read playing cards, how to read Mexican Loteria, how to read a crystal ball, or how to read, did I say Lenormand? Lenormand. Then contact me same way. For those of you who have made donations, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And if you like these videos and they're helping you get something out of your spiritual path and you want to donate to help keep them coming, well, I'm going to put my PayPal, my Venmo below. Remember, sometimes it isn't an obstacle, and sometimes the really insignificant thing really is significant.